Hey, welcome to this Money Monday edition of Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tabacco, and yes, I know on Friday I said I was going to be in New Hampshire, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't pull off the trifecta. I couldn't go from AC to New York to Orlando and back and to New Hampshire. So I'm here, as usual, as we are every single day, noon to 2 Eastern, in the Question Tequila Studios. We're also heavily fortified with the Hooters heat, and we have a lot to toast to starting off this week, this second week of February, including the fact that the Dow has seemingly recovered, but up marginally today, about 70 points. And Bitcoin popped its head through 10,000 over the weekend. And with many of the coronavirus reports being mixed these days, last week we heard that it was subsiding. And now we're seeing more and more footage come out on social media from citizen reporters saying that it's much, much worse. The markets are still tepid. They're afraid. If you remember a few weeks back, I mentioned on the show that China had cut the reserves on their banks. So they're saying their banks have to keep less reserves on hand. So they went to 10% reserves. That's basically all they got left in the piggy bank. And if this coronavirus, which I don't believe, does tend to be something much bigger than reported, and it becomes a global epidemic, China could potentially be in some serious money problems, and the people that are in the know in Asia and around the Asian geography will be trying to get their money out of there as quickly as possible. A big benefactor of that will be Bitcoin. Cryptocurrency seems to be the flight to safety for people trying to get currency across borders. So keep your eye on Bitcoin. Could fly here. I think it's poised for a big setup. And we are poised for greatness, as always, when I'm joined by Frank Morano. Frankie's there. How are you, pal?
I'm doing great, John. Happy Monday. I'm sorry you didn't make New Hampshire, but I want to point out to the viewers that is no reflection whatsoever on the incredibly convenient and easy accommodations that you can book through HotelPlanner.com.
That is for sure.
Who is sponsoring our Road to the White House series.
That is for sure. And those guys, Tim Henschel and the guys at Hotel Planner, say, hey, we want to get to some of these primaries. We need hotel rooms. We've got to take the staff. Say, we got you covered. So check out HotelPlanner.com because they support Liquid Lunch just like you do.
That's
right. So what else is happening out there, Frankie?
Well, it's very interesting, John. A ton of stuff going on in the news. Obviously, the New Hampshire primary is tomorrow. We're going to be covering that in a big way. Everybody's still talking about the Academy Awards last night, which is one of the subjects, sort of, that I'm speaking frankly about. So every year, one of the things that people look forward to most about the Academy Awards is their in memoriam section. And I do too. And they always miss a few people. One year they even missed Abe Vigoda, star of one of the greatest films of all time, The Godfather. But I was a little surprised at some of the stars that were omitted yesterday. Now, again, some great stars included. And not just actors, but a lot of behind-the-scenes people. I was glad to see my friend Danny Aiello make the list. A guy that I had the privilege of meeting one time, Rip Torn, made the list. A number of other people that were known for both movies and television shows. But there were a couple of actors that did not make the in memoriam list. And I think that's a real shame. And I was a bit surprised at some of these omissions, John.
Let's hear it.
For example, Luke Perry, for instance, who was actually in the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which was nominated for Best Picture. He didn't even make the list of In Memoriam, and the movie was nominated for Best Picture. So I was sorry to see Luke Perry didn't make it. Additionally, Rene Auberjonois. Now, Rene Auberjonois has been one of my favorite actors.
Oh, man.
He, of course, played Odo on Star Trek Deep Space Nine. He played the character of Paul Lewiston on Boston Legal. And I know people are saying that that's, those are TV shows, but he was in a lot of movies. He was in MASH. He was in, Walker, Police Academy 5, The Player, Batman Forever, The Patriot. I can go on and on and on. He even played President James Buchanan in a movie that came out 2 years ago, probably one of our worst presidents. But as disappointing as that is, that whole in memoriam section, what I've been really even more disappointed by is that over the last 24 to 36 hours, there has been almost no mention of the two people most worthy of remembering who passed away a couple of days ago, these gentlemen. Antonio Rodriguez
There you go.
and Javier Gutierrez, both of whom were killed in Afghanistan on Saturday. Now, Gutierrez enlisted in the Army in 2009 as an infantryman and stationed at Fort Bragg. In 2012, he attended the Special Forces Assessment and Selection at Fort Bragg and was selected to attend the Special Forces Qualification Course, graduating as a Special Forces Communications Sergeant. Rodriguez also enlisted with the Army back in 2009. He had multiple tours of duty, deployed 8 times with the 75th Ranger Regiment and twice with the 3rd Battalion, 7th Special Forces Group in support of Operation Freedom Sentinel. Now, the reason I think it's so important to mention this, aside from the fact that no one else has, is that there's no reason that these 2 brave young men needed to die. We should have been out of Afghanistan months ago, years ago. I am begging you, President Trump, I know that you know this war is wrong. We can still protect America from terrorists, as you've done in Yemen and country after country, without having troops on the ground. There is no reason, and there's no reason for American servicemen to be killed, not only by the Taliban, but by Afghan troops. The guys we're supposedly helping, they're turning around and shooting us.
We're training them.
Let's end the war in Afghanistan now. Bring the troops home. Bring the troops home.
Frank, you couldn't have said it better. And you're not going to see those lefties on the Oscars paying any homage or memoriam to fallen soldiers. They don't care about that.
Well, I'm not even talking about the Oscars.
I understand. I understand. But, you started off with the in memoriam. These people, and I'm with you. I think it would be a tremendous bump for the president with a lot of different groups if he turned around and said, enough is enough. Enough blood of American blood's been shed there. We're getting the troops out, just like he did in Syria. I think that would probably help him electorally also, because people would see another sane, smart thing caring about America. But you know what? You saw, of course, Brad Pitt's speech last night.
I did. We're going to cover that in a big way with Lauren Conlin, but I know you had some residual thoughts on...
he couldn't even get... I was trying to give it a fair chance. I thought, Steve Martin and Chris Rock did a decent job. I thought Chris Rock could, maybe hold off on the cop jokes on a day in New York where 2 cops are assassinated. But, he had to get his 2 cents in, I guess, on that. But I was trying to give it its due, see what's happening. I thought the Joker gave a pretty serious and solemn answer, a response to his award, which I was actually proud of him for, but I flipped back later on, but 45 seconds, Brad said, well, they gave us 45 seconds, and all of a sudden Brad Pitt is advocating for John Bolton. Okay, if you had the over 0 on that one, you won big, because you never thought you'd see that happen. And 45 seconds was about how long it took me to switch the channel when I saw they were going to open the night with the political platforms, and I really didn't care much after that. I thought, my one observation was I thought it was pretty funny that they were talking about, Chris Rock was railing about how there's not enough minorities and there's not enough, we only got 1 woman. How did the entire left-wing Hollywood elite feel to be sitting there and watch a bunch of South Korean Asian people run on stage and take the award for best film in another language?
Well,
first time it's ever happened.
I mean, in fairness, all the South Korean people are Asian.
I hear you. I don't know if they're all South Korean.
Right,
You
think a North
paid
Korean
a lot of homage
snuck across the border or something?
To South Korea, but I'm just saying, here was Hollywood elite sitting there. Darn it, we couldn't get 1 film better than these guys who did it in another language.
Beautiful film, though. Did you see it?
No, I didn't see it, and it looked good, and I was happy for them, because they're like a Cinderella story, Frank. That's
Absolutely.
like us winning an Emmy. You know what I'm saying? Like something like that.
Exactly.
The guy said, at least we've dreamed about it. The guy said we could have never, ever dreamt this.
You must have appreciated the fact that he was saying he was going to drink from now until tomorrow morning.
Yeah, we should see if we can. Lauren Conlin's going to be here a little later on, and she straight up called Parasite as what she thought was the best film, and she, I think, even interviewed them at the New York Film Festival. We're going to get into that in a little bit, and maybe we can see if she can get them down here for us for a little liquid lunch. Maybe they'll Skype in or something from
We'll
South
we'll
Korea.
serve some soju.
Yeah. We'll do the news with the booze with the Parasite Cruise. That would be fun. You think they'd come in?
Why not?
All right, we'll have to ask Lauren that a little later on. We're going to take a quick break right now. Had a tiny bit of technical difficulties to kick off this Money Monday, but we got everything in gear. Everything's rolling smooth right now. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with Fernando Uribe right after this.